I just really want to find a really nice case for my PS90. What the? What? Where did this come from? What is this? Welcome back to the channel, Den Members. As you may recall, back in December, I purchased one of my favorite firearms of all time, the PS90. If you want to check out the video where I do a breakdown and a review of the PS90, it is right here. In that video, I talk about several upgrades that I am looking at having done to the firearm, not least of which is having it SBR'd. Still waiting on my ATF approval there. Now, while I anxiously await for the approval of my Form 1, I've been continuing to look for additional accessories for the PS90, and I found something that as soon as I saw it, I knew that I needed. This is the Case Club's PS90 breakdown case. This case and its foam cutouts are specifically designed for the PS90. This is an absolute thing of beauty. Before I go into a rundown of the case, I just want to call out that I purchased this case with my own money. It was on sale for, I think it was around $170. You can buy it through Amazon or through caseclub.com. At time of recording, it is out of stock, but I have seen it come in and out of stock quite frequently. I'm in no way being sponsored or compensated by Case Club. However, Case Club, if you are at all inclined, hit me up. You've got a case or two that I really would like to get a hold of. So we'll go through the inside of the case first. In the lid here, you see cutouts for 5 magazines. The magazines are just retained in their spots by a Velcro strap here. Nothing fancy, nothing too complicated. Then in the bottom here, you have room for your PS90 in broken down form, so you do have to separate the upper and the lower. I do want to point out that it is compatible with the 16-inch barrel. There are inserts that you have to cut out over here to make room for the additional barrel length. If you're planning on SBRing your PS90, I would save those foam inserts. That way, once you have the 10.5-inch barrel, you can plug that empty space back up. I don't know the technical term for the foam they are using. However, this is the same quality foam that I use in some of my other storage cases. This foam is fantastic. Editing Matt here, I can't believe I forgot to say this. The foam is actually closed cell, so it won't absorb any water that may get spilled into it. This little container here holds a desiccant for controlling the moisture within the case. It is rechargeable, and there's a little spot here that you can see the desiccant through, so that once it turns green, all you have to do is put this in the oven and it will dry out and then you can reuse it. Nice little addition to this case. You can also see that there is a cutout for a handgun. Now, I've cut out all of the foam pieces for the handgun so it can accept a full-size handgun like a Glock 17. There are additional pieces here that will allow it to be more set for a compact gun like a Glock 19 or my Glock 45. And you can even go smaller to a subcompact like a Hellcat or a 43X or a P365. Case Club has done a very good job at making this modular to fit a lot of different firearms. Lastly, on the left-hand side here, there are 2 cutouts for 2 handgun magazines. Moving to the outside of the case very briefly, this is an excellent quality case, a very durable plastic. It has 4 latches, 2 on either side and then 2 on the front. It also has 2 lockable hasps on the front or top, depending on orientation here, which actually makes this a perfect case if you were to be flying somewhere and you wanted to check your firearm. One thing of note, there was a Case Club sticker here. I peeled that off, and it is actually really easy to peel off. You can put your own decal, your own sticker, or just leave it just plain black. Lastly, there is a pressure seal screw in the front of the case here, so you can open that to adjust for different pressures. I do want to point out that this is a weatherproof case. There is a weather seal, a gasket around the lid, so it does seal tightly when latched shut. And that about covers the rundown. There's nothing outlandish about this case. It is just a very durable, very well put together and thought out case for the PS90. Now, before I get into my one criticism for this case, I just want to call out that this is a fantastic storage or travel case. This is exactly the kind of case that I was looking for my PS90. Yes, you can absolutely go with a generic gun case that'll hold just about anything in your gun safe. But for something like the PS90, it's really neat to have something a little more specialized. To be able to have a case that transports the magazines as well as the gun is fantastic. I love this thing. I've already had a couple people comment on how neat it looks. I also really like the fact that it has a spot for a handgun and a couple magazines. It makes this case a really nice travel solution because it allows you to have two firearms in a relatively small case. And that brings me to my one gripe about this case. And I want to make it clear that this in no way is a deal breaker for this case. It's just something that I would like to see Case Club do differently in a version 2 of this in the future. So as I said, this case has a spot for a handgun. Anything from a subcompact like a Glock 43X or a P365 up to a full-size or even extended firearm such as the Glock 17 or even the Glock 34. The special handgun in my collection is my Shadow Systems DR920 Elite. I'll put a link to the review I did on this gun here. As you can see, I have a red dot and a Streamlight tactical light here. With the red dot and the flashlight, a handgun is not going to fit in the compartment in the case. Now, I knew that going into the purchase of this case, but it's still something that I want to point out to you, the viewer. Case Club, I completely understand that you did everything you could within the form factor of this case. There is physically no more room for a red dot or a flashlight spot in the foam or the handgun. Could we get a case slightly bigger? With the novelty of the PS90 as a firearm in general, I feel like a person that is looking to buy a case specifically designed to hold the PS90 as well as a handgun, there is a high likelihood that that handgun they would like to store is not just set up with iron sights. Maybe I'm wrong, and at the end of the day, I didn't buy this case because it had a spot for a handgun. I bought the case because it is specifically set up for the PS90. The spot for the handgun is just an added bonus, and I am looking forward to finding another special handgun that can be stored alongside my PS90. In all, I thoroughly enjoy this PS90 case. Again, I've got a link down in the description to Case Club's website. They have a whole slew of products, and I have a feeling that I'm going to be getting another one or two of these cases for a couple of my firearms. That's gonna do it for this video, everybody. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please consider hitting that like button, commenting down below, and subscribing to the Phantom Llama's Den. Go check us out on X and Instagram. Follow us over on Twitch where we get rowdy. And as always, don't take life too seriously and make it a great day.